I'm going to have to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. I never really liked Kwang too much. Why? He was usually, at least in my opinion, not balanced in the slightest in a lot. He was very meta a lot of the time. Whether he dealt too much damage, was too tanky, too much utility all over the place. He has never done right, in my opinion. And because of that, I really disliked him because I was never that good of a Kwang, and I always seemed to go up against amazing Kwangs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hero rework video. I am Sylphin. A few things to get off the bat. One, this does not represent what Unleashed Games is doing at all. This is just my idea. Two, hero passives are coming back, so we have to make a hero passive up. Three, I like quest mechanics. If you can do something that defines the hero well, then you get rewarded by having that be empowered. Five, I think heroes absolutely need to have a purpose, a role, something that they do well and are weak against, because that provides good gameplay, both very much in the draft lobby, but also it provides them with purpose. There has to be a reason for you to go, aha, I need Kwang in this scenario because he does this well and is not weak against this. So what is that for Kwang? I've always felt like he has been a utility damage fighter. I never really liked how much damage he dealt, but that was only because he was so hard to kill. I'm fine if he does damage, but he can't be as tanky as he basically always was. So, he's a utility damage fighter. He's not a tank. He's not even a bruiser. He's just a fighter that deals damage and has some sustain, just some. If you don't like that, if you think that he's a bruiser, I'm sorry, this is my idea, I can say what I want. Okay, so he's a utility damage fighter. Run with me on this. Just run with me with this one. He's a utility damage fighter. So, something has to change. Scalings. He's damage focused. So lower health and armor scalings, especially armor. Especially armor because he gets armor himself. Lower health and armor scalings, I don't know what those could be. 0.8 health and armor scaling, 0.75, 0.83, I don't know. Not as much as an assassin, but definitely not as much as a tank or even a bruiser. So, what's his passive? It's the same thing. It's less than before, a nerfed health, nerfed physical and energy lifesteal for Kwang and allies within the radius. It's simply too much when you put a ton of damage on him. So nerf that a little bit. Light of Heavens still does the same damage, pretty much, and basically does the same thing. Heavenly Energy strikes Kwang's swords, dealing damage in a small radius and giving Kwang less armor than before for a shorter duration, but you'll see something else that'll help with that duration. So less armor for a less duration, 12-second cooldown. Still deals the same damage because I think he dealt a lot of damage to begin with, but remember, pretend that these numbers, forget the numbers, pretend that everything's balanced, that he deals lots of damage, a pretty good amount of damage, but he's not too tanky. 12-second cooldown, whatever that has to be. So Light of the Heavens gives the same damage or a little bit more than before, but not as much armor for a shorter duration. Okay, Judgment of the Heavens. Kwang throws his sword within probably a farther range because of the bigger map that he's going to exist on. Damaging, probably the same. It didn't deal too much damage to begin with, but same damage, a little bit more, I don't know. Tethering enemies in a smaller radius, probably what it used to be, because what it ended up being was way too big and nobody liked it. So smaller radius, I don't know, a little bit smaller, quite a bit smaller, I don't know, something like that. For a shorter duration. It says much shorter there, but it was like 3.5 seconds was how long he could root people at level 4. It was yeah, like that's way too long. 2.25 seconds, something like that. Much shorter tether. It was a lot. After tethering enemies for a total of 30 seconds, so you have to tether enemies for a total of 30 seconds, meaning you have to... The best way to play, to use his Judgment of the Heavens was to root somebody for as long as possible for you to get in a good body block position. That is what the pros did. That is how the pros, what they did. That's the best way to play it, to you get as much value from it as possible. Root them for as long as possible so that your allies could help you in eliminating that target. You could get around to a good body block position. So that's why it's seconds based. The quest, after tethering enemies for a total of 30 seconds, enemies are slowed by 20% or whatever that needs to be for 1.5 seconds after being rooted or after being tethered. Make sense? Judgment of the Heavens, pretty much the same, just tweaked that much. His new ability, and this one took a while, but somebody in chat have a wondrous idea, or not. Was this my idea? It doesn't matter. I like it. Prayer of the Heavens. Kwang kneels down to pray, charging his sword with energy over 5 seconds. Can be cancelled early. For every half second of prayer, the next Light of the Heavens, so your Light of the Heavens, within 20 seconds of ending the channel, gains 2% ability damage and 0.125 seconds of armor duration. So that's times 10, so 20% ability damage and 1.25 seconds of armor duration. So as you are using Prayer of Heavens, you're empowering the damage of your Light of Heavens and the armor duration. So if you are ganking with Kwang from the jungle or something like that, you can kneel down. You can kneel down, charge it up, so you have good map awareness. You have good positioning to put yourself in a position for you to channel this. Then you get increased value from your Light of Heavens. Then you run off, you judgment them. You walk up, you body block them a bit. Your other laner comes and helps you. You untether them. Use your Light of the Heavens that's empowered from the damage, and it gives you more longer armor duration for you to tower dive or something like that. I think it's a pretty good idea. You can use this when in lane, when in the jungle to charge it up, stuff like that. It's a kind of compelling idea. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of that ability. Fury of the Heavens is his ultimate. It's basically the same. After Kwang charges up heavenly energy for 1 second or whatever it was, he teleports to his sword, dealing damage and slowing enemies by less amount for 3 seconds within a smaller radius. 650 units is still pretty big. Half range basic attack range, something like that. So it's still dealt pretty good damage, or it could be deal more damage, I don't know, but less of a slow and a bit of a smaller radius in my opinion. There you guys go. That's Kwang. You're not going to like this idea at all if you don't like his new theme, his new gameplay theme, that he's a utility damage fighter. So he deals damage with a little bit of utility being crowd control and sustain, and he's less tanky. I think this best suits him. I wanted to kind of rework him into this specialist fighter, but then I could never really come up with what that could be. Like, what does a specialist mean? Like, he has this odd scaling where he could deal damage, but then he could be a tank. But I'm like, that's what he was, and that's what made him terrible, because he could just do everything too well. So I didn't know how to really do that. I had to just come up with something, and I was like, fine, utility damage fighter, but not as tanky as what he was, requiring that lower health and armor scaling. He can get the lifesteal from him. He can give more armor for himself. Stuff like that. Oh, I don't know. Let me know it down in the comments what you guys think. Kwang was always nebulous to me. I always had issues with Kwang. Maybe he just needs a complete rework. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. This is the best that I could do. Please like the video, like it, dislike it, dislike it, share the community, of course. Guys, subscribe. If you guys want more Paragon 2 content or any other Paragon content, let me know down in the comments. Like always, stay optimistic and positive.